As you can tell, I had to place some folded up paper towels down under the window to keep the window from falling. There's screws there and there. Very easy, just a little piece of rubber. Pop it out. I had to get a really small flathead screwdriver to get that little piece out. And just use your Phillips head to remove the screws. Pop off this little trim piece. And then go around the outside edge. I'm using a flathead screwdriver that has some electrical tape on it so I don't scratch the paint. When you do remove it, make sure you remove it first from the door lock and disconnect the linkage for the door handle. That's where the door linkage is. And that's where the switches connect to. And there is where the light goes for the door. Next, you have to remove the vapor barrier. It's a little bit of sound deadening, and it also helps prevent moisture from getting into the door. You don't want to destroy it because you want to be able to put it back after you're done. So be careful with it. After you do that, make sure that you remove this bracket. It attaches to the door handle. There's all this bolts that you need to remove. I think there's a total of 9. There's 2 that attach to the glass, 4 for the guide assembly, and then there's another 3 for the motor. I wedged one of the paper towels back into the window, the seams you can tell on the top right hand corner, so that the window doesn't slide down, since there will be nothing holding it up. There I'm removing the old part. As you can tell, it is broke. A little later I'll show you a closer look of exactly where it broke. Here's the old part, and here's the shiny new one. The new part was not made by Honda because Honda, their component seems to have a flaw, I guess. So I went for a different brand. This is some silicone spray. It's a good idea to lubricate the window track. Don't use anything else besides silicone. Anything that's grease-based does not work well with rubber. And with silicone, it's a dry lubricant, so it won't attract dust. Allow your window to run up and down very smooth. Installing the new one can be a little tricky, but with a little perseverance, it can be done. The bolt holes lined up. And hand tighten all the bolts first. That way you can make any little adjustments that are required before you tighten everything down. Bolts for the motor. And the 2 bolts for the window. This one, I had to move the window a little bit so that I can align the bolts with those 2 holes. And finally, tighten all the bolts down. You don't need to crank them very hard. Alright, here I'm going to test the window. And look at that. Up. Down. Back up again. Very smooth. Install your vapor barrier again. Put the door handle bracket back on. And make sure that you put the linkage that goes to your door locks through the vapor barrier. Reattach that linkage to that door handle and put your install all the screws again for your door. A little trim piece back on. Here are the tools I use. Flathead screwdriver with some electrical tape on it so I don't scratch anything. Standard Phillips head screwdriver, a real small flathead screwdriver, and a 10mm socket. Here's the old part. Tell the cable's broke. Just go through that tube. Going around that pulley. And that's where it attached. That's where it broke. Right on that slider. The slider still moves up and down freely. That's it.